It is a common belief that the tradition of Mother's Day began in the West, originating from Greek and Roman spring festivals dedicated to maternal goddesses and Mothering Sunday observed in the European Christian tradition since the 1600s. But in fact, the first celebrations of motherhood occurred in Egypt as part of a pharaonic tradition. Ancient Egyptians held an annual festival to honor Isis, one of the most popular and enduring goddesses of ancient Egypt, who represented the ideal mother and wife and was the patroness of nature and magic. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, Isis was the wife of Osiris, who was also her brother. When Osiris was murdered by their envious brother Set, Isis gathered Osiris's body parts that had been scattered around Egypt and used them to impregnate herself. She then gave birth to Horus, who avenged his father's death and killed Set, becoming the first ruler of Egypt. As a result, Isis was regarded as the mother of all pharaohs and became symbolic of motherhood, and an annual festival was held in her honor. From the 6th century BC onwards, the ancient Greeks honored RHEA, the great mother of everything, including the gods. She was the wife of CRONUS and the mother of Hestia, Hera, Demeter, Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus. Her father was Uranus, or the heavens, her mother Gaia, or the earth, with whom she was often identified. In 205 BC, her cult was introduced in Rome, where she was celebrated as Celebi during the Hilaria on the Ides of March. In Christian times, Mother's Day was a day in honor of the Virgin Mary and the Church. In England, in the 13th century, Henry III of England, 1216 to 1239, introduced Mothering Sunday. On the Sunday before Easter, sons and daughters went back home to visit the church where they were baptized. This also meant that they returned to their earthly mothers, and soon they were too honored with gifts, flowers, and special Mothering Day cakes. In both Greek and Roman cultures, mother goddesses or Queen of Heaven were worshipped during the springtime with religious festivals. The ancient Greeks paid tribute to the powerful goddess RHEA, the wife of Cronus, known as the Mother of Gods. Similarly, evidence of a 3-day Roman festival in mid-March called Hilaria to honor the Roman goddess RHEA or Great Mother dates back to 250 BC. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, the celebration of the Mother Church replaced the pagan tradition of honoring mythological goddesses. The 4th Sunday in Lent, Weeping for Tammuz, a 40-day fasting period before Easter, became known as Mothering Sunday. To show appreciation for their mothers, they often brought gifts or a mothering cake. Over time, it began to coincide with the celebration of the Mother Church. Mother's Day always falls on the 2nd Sunday of May, and like so many other holidays rooted in pagan sun worship, including Father's Day, which always falls on the 3rd Sunday of June, usually fall on the day named in honor of their most powerful god, the sun. During the 16th century, people returned to their Mother Church for a service to be held. This was either a large local church or more often the nearest cathedral. Anyone who did this was commonly said to have gone a-mothering, although whether this preceded the term Mothering Sunday is unclear. In later times, Mothering Sunday became a day when domestic servants were given a day off to visit their mother church, usually with their own mothers and other family members. It was often the only time that whole families could gather together, since on other days they were prevented by conflicting working hours, or, more usually, since holidays had not yet been invented, there was only one day in the year that they were allowed off. Children and young people who were in service, servants in richer households, were given a day off on that day so they could visit their families, or originally, return to their mother church. The children would pick wild flowers along the way to place them in the church or to give them to their mothers as gifts. Eventually, the religious tradition evolved into the Mothering Sunday secular tradition of gift-giving to mothers. By the 1920s, the custom of keeping Mothering Sunday had tended to lapse in Ireland and in continental Europe. In 1914, inspired by Anna Jarvis's efforts in the United States, Constance Penswick-Smith created the Mothering Sunday movement, and in 1921, she wrote a book asking for the revival of the festival. Its wide-scale revival was through the influence of American and Canadian soldiers serving abroad during World War II. The tradition of Mothering Sunday, still practiced by the Church of England and Church of Ireland, were merged with the newly imported traditions and celebrated in the wider Catholic and secular society. It always seems to be rooted in the worship of false gods, doesn't it? I suppose it to be no problem for the world at large, but why should Christians choose to participate in the worship of false gods when it insults the true God? How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. No man can serve two masters. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You take your pick.